And now on Uncle Jeff's workshop we're featuring...
brakes.
And the same to you. Brakes.
But this isn't bone brakes or coffee brakes, this is how to stop.
Damn.
All right. So sorry about that.
That's okay.
Now, I know you're a keen mountain biker, aren't you? And you stay on that, don't you, most of the time?
Yeah, actually I'm worse on my mountain bike than I am on my motorbike.
But anyway, brakes on that, cable operated, and you've probably noticed that, little bits of cable that pull the things on. On a bike, they're hydraulically operated. Old days cables, now hydraulics. So you have master cylinders, slave cylinders, and all the rest of it. But the essence of a hydraulic is hydraulic oil, which is a special lightweight oil, fitted in a master cylinder, goes down a piece of rubber tubing into the main brake cylinder. But we'll come to that in a while. Probably easier to show you if you just drop the old seat off, the old quacker.
Drop the old seat off.
Because you know that's the front brake lever, don't you, up on the handlebars?
No, I mean evidently no.
That's where you've been going wrong. Rear brake lever down there. It's more difficult to show, but there's a cylinder down the side there which operates your rear brakes. But here is the rear brake reservoir with the fluid in it.
How often should you be checking your brake fluid level?
You should keep a regular eye on it. I mean, I think the handbook, it's a good point, we'll have to come to handbook later on. The handbook would probably say check it weekly, but I keep an eye on it about sort of monthly. That may look low, but in fact it's right between the high and low level marks. If you look over the other side, Diane, there's a couple of marks there. See, just engraved on the plastic, upper and lower levels. This little rubber diaphragm in the top here, because hydraulic oil is hygroscopic, it absorbs moisture.
Good word.
It is a good word, it's a big word, but I said it right. And that diaphragm fits in there to keep as much air out as possible. Because it allows to move up and down with the fluid, because as your brake pads wear, that fluid level goes down. And then you put new brake pads in, pushes the level back up. So that's the rear one. Just moving back to the front, the reason I did that, it was easier than these are vandal proof. Well, they're sort of vandal. They stop little kids undoing them and popping the Smarties in there or whatever it happens to be. So these have got screws on there. Same system though. And in here, if I move the bars slightly, there's a little window. You can see the clutch one's similar. Little window gives you the fluid level in there. Again, halfway up.
Good.
So in here, you've got the lever. Hear that little click?
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't know.
That's the stoplight switch, that is.
telling me
You are
it's
honest, yeah. That's operating the stoplight off the front brake. But in there, you've got your lever, adjustable on Kawasaki's for different hand spans. But that operates a small piston inside this master cylinder. So as you pull it in, if you can imagine it pushing a little piston along and pushing a column of oil along down the rubber brake hoses, right? Then come this way, young lady.
I'll come over here.
Yeah. Right, so what we've got here, there's a caliper. Now this is what they call a 4-pot one. You've heard of 4-pot and 6-pots and things like that, have you?
I have.
Yeah, right.
Off you. You knew that.
Don't say it like that, young lady. I'll give you 100 lines. But anyway, these are 4-pot calipers. This is because this has got pistons in there. 1, 2, and then on the other side, 3, 4. So that's a 4-pot. 6-pot, simply you'd see 3 down here, 3 the other side. 6-pot spreads the load over, allows you to use larger brake pads and spreads the load, but these are perfectly adequate for this machine, works well. So hydraulic fluid into there, operates on these calipers, replicates the hand lever in a way in that this time it pushes the pistons down against the pad. And I happen to have prepared some earlier.
Da, da, da. Great.
Sorry about the condition of these, but I got them from a friendly local breakers. This is in fact a Kawasaki rear caliper, not off mine. See, mine's not that dirty, is it? You can see big pad, small pad, or piston rather. Now there's the pistons. Take that out for a while. There's one of the pistons, and the fluid goes through that inlet there, out into this piston here. You can just about see a rubber seal in there, and so as you pull the lever, you push this piston out. And you could well say, well, what's that going to do for me?
Well, what's that going to do for me, Jeff?
That operates, these little buttons here are sort of pressure pads, just to stop direct metal to metal contact. Pad fits in there, or rather the other way around, it would go like that. Brake disc here.
I love this bit.
Yeah, that fits in there. Other pad the other side, I bet you won't go in. Oh, and it does. Now these aren't the right
No.
pads for this caliper, but that's the principle, as you can see.
Yeah.
And so as the pistons push against the pads, they'll clamp your disc and stop you with a bit of luck.
Great. What about all the holes?
Yeah, now those,
What about disc?
they look good, don't they? It looks sort of super trick, but they do have a function. They remove excess rainwater off the discs and save a bit of weight. But while we're on discs, remember I mentioned this vernier caliper on the first program we did. This is where you can actually measure the width of the disc to see if the disc itself is worn.
Right.
And if you look carefully, young lady, you will see on the disc here, minimum, see that? Minimum thickness, 4.5 millimetre.
Great.
And you shouldn't run that disc at anything thinner than 4.5 millimetre.
Right.
The other thing, while we're on discs, you've heard of fully floating discs and floating discs and all the rest of it. Well, this is a semi-floating disc. In that is the central carrier, and this is the disc itself. And these little steel buttons in between, they lock the two together, but they allow the disc to actually float slightly against the carrier, just in case there's any distortion.
Right. And there's the disc on the Duke over here is
Now that's
slightly different,
something
isn't it?
completely different, as I say. Now these are fully floating discs on the Ducati. Hear that rattling?
Yeah.
That's not rattling because they're worn out. They're supposed to be like that. They do float. Same construction as you can see with these buttons, but it allows them to centre nicely between the pads.
great.
So that's fully floating, that's semi-floating.
Lovely. Looks like we're going to have to come back to brakes
Yes.
at another time.
After the
because
break,
I have
perhaps.
to go. I'm going to have a proper break now. Okay. Thanks, Jeff.